If you only see one remake of Death Note this year, watch a Let's Play of Persona 5. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geek Out reaction for the Netflix original Death Note movie. This is gonna be a weird one. For anybody who has not seen a post-Geek Out reaction before, the post-Geek Out reaction is not a review. I do have a review coming up this weekend about this film, and the reviews are spoiler-free. So if you have not seen the movie yet, wait until the review, because the post-Geek Out reaction is just our open, honest discussion about the thing that we just watched, and that does include full spoilers. However, considering that this is on Netflix, if you have Netflix and you are mildly interested in seeing this, you've probably already seen it. So I think most people can just go ahead and watch the post-Geek Out reaction.
Although I feel like a lot of people are not seeing this because they're just pissed off.
They just want to, yeah, and that's the thing. I have always had a very firm policy on stuff like this. Like, a lot of people ask, why do you go out and see so many bad movies? Because I've always believed you shouldn't talk smack about a thing until you have seen it. Like, I talk smack about a lot of bad films because I've seen a lot of bad films, but I'll never talk smack about, say, the Twilight films because I just haven't seen any of those yet. I can say the stuff I've heard sounds bad, but I'll never say it's actually bad because I haven't seen it. So I decided we have to watch this, and yes, we have to go and address it. There's a ton of people out there who are just going to be like, this is going to be garbage, there's no way that they can get it right, it's going to be totally disrespectful with all the stuff that they do. I am not totally of that mindset. A, because I never want to come in here and say, well, you just can't do this thing. Hollywood has proven me wrong numerous times that they can do stuff that I would have come in here and said, well, you can't do that. Oh, they just did it. Oh, damn. Well, okay then. Awesome. An R-rated Deadpool film that's actually accurate to the comics? No way can you do... Oh, shit. Okay, never mind.
Like, well, here's the thing, like, my idea on, like, my theory on reboots or remakes or reimaginings or whatever. It's like, if you are too close to the source material, then you might as well just read or watch the original.
Yeah.
But if you derive too far away from the source material, you might as well be like, what the fuck, this has nothing to do with it, and there needs to be like a middle ground.
Yeah, there's that sweet spot in there. And that's the thing, is that I totally agree with you. However, I'm a little bit more lenient on the idea of being able to be totally different, because, like, okay, imagine if you just took the base concept and went off from there.
Yeah.
However, I've seen numerous things out there in which they don't even keep the base concept, and it's like, this clearly was a script for something else, and then you came in here and just said, well, that's not going to sell. Let's just slap the name of something else in it. We saw that Jim and the Holograms film. That totally was not Jim and the Holograms film. Like, that's the perfect example of it. But with this one, I'm actually, like, I'm gonna upset so many people right now. So many people. So many people out there say, don't make American adaptations of anime. I'm actually intrigued by the idea of making American film adaptations of anime.
If done right.
If done right. Well, obviously. But a lot of people say it's like, well, because then you're disrespecting the culture of it. And it's like, I say that a lot of, like, anime, it is rooted in, like, the culture of Japan. So if you take that, pick it up, take it to another country, you can tell a very different type of story with that based on, like, the different cultures that you're changing around on. And to me, honestly, Death Note is the perfect film for that. And what I mean by that is, and like I said, I'm gonna upset a lot of people when I say this, but Death Note is a film about a high schooler who goes on a killing spree. You pick that up and put it in America, it has a totally different connotation to it.
Not to get political, but I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like it, is like it feels like way too realistic.
Okay, well, see, now to me, it's kind of like, all right, that's kind of what makes it a little bit more intriguing, because, like, in the Japanese version, like, there's a super sci-fi detective celebrity out there in the Japanese version, and it's like, well, yeah, clearly this is set in a fantasy land over there. You pick it up and bring it to America, you could actually make the dark, gritty reboot of a thing that was already really dark and gritty. I'd be very intrigued to see how you would do that if you had the stones to really do it. Not saying, like, I condone it, like, but then again, I think a lot of the people who are upset at the idea of pitching Death Note like that are like, well, but then you would be, like, glorifying this kind of stuff. It's like, no, because Light is not a hero. That's always been my stance on the Death Note
Yeah,
films. It's
obviously.
like, there's so many people out there who's like, well, he's a very interesting anti-hero. It's like, no, he's a very interesting villain. Light is a flat-out villain in Death Note. That's why I'm more okay with the idea of you taking it and making it the dark, gritty, kind of like American version of this, because it's like, yeah, man, him being a villain in the setting of the anime would be totally different than if you made him the villain in like an American high school, because that's kind of like a thing that we live with in this country. It's kind of like a horrifying reality over here. You take like the angry loner kid who is like, that kid is gonna do some horrible shit in his life, give him a Death Note, it's a totally different film if you said here in this country. So I'm like, okay, I'm actually intrigued to see what you could do with that. And remember about 5 minutes ago when I said you can do some really interesting stuff if you have the stones for it? They don't really have the stones for it. They don't. This film really impressed me with some stuff like the gore. Like, I'm not really like a big gore guy. No. I don't care. Like, I don't really care. Like, I have never watched any of the Saw films because I'm just like, I don't want to watch like torture porn or any of that stuff. In this, I was like, well, they're clearly not going to show really graphic. Oh shit. That kid just got decapitated. Holy cow. And they showed all the juicy goodness flowing out of him. Yeah, like, and there's a lot of practical effects with the gore in here that I'm really impressed with, honestly.
So you like the gore in this one?
I actually was pretty impressed with what they did in this.
I actually feel like the opposite. Like, the thing is, the death scenes felt a lot like the Final Destination sequels.
They very much
were.
But honestly, I was kind of okay with that, because like in the original, if you wrote their name and you didn't put anything, they just have a heart attack. In this one, if you write something and don't put anything, then just it becomes Final Destination. A string of events start happening based on where they are that will lead to their death. And I was like, that involves so much more creativity. I actually really dug that, and also like it would make it harder for people to pin this on Kira, because it's like, well, yeah, dude, just wrong place, wrong time, man. All right.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I can understand, like, that's what a lot of this conversation is going to come down to. And it's what a lot of, like, the controversies behind this film are going to come down to. They did change stuff in this film, and I'll be honest with you, many of the things that they change in here, I don't have a problem with. But there are a lot of people out there who's like, well, yeah, but now it doesn't match the original, and the original is better, and the original... Which, yeah, let me go ahead and say that right now. The original is better. I'm going to come in here and defend this film in a lot of places, but make no mistake, the original stuff is way better. It ain't even close.
It's like, what kind of gets me is, like, they decided to make a remake of this, like, several years after the anime and the live-action movie came out.
Something tells me they have been trying to make this forever. Like, that's what this struck me as. Like, they clearly, like, this is one of those things that, like, it got passed around, and I think one of the reasons it went to Netflix is because of, like, kind of what I was saying in the beginning. Is like, yeah, man, you take a story about a high schooler going on a killing spree and bring that to America, it's no longer some weird sci-fi thing. It is now, like, harsh reality. No one in America wants to touch that. No one wants to make the protagonist of their character the high school killer out there. Like, no one wants that. That's why I was like, all right, let's see what you can do with this film. And yeah, I think this has been kind of like kicked around for a while. I think it's one of the reasons it came to Netflix. And one of the things that we gotta say in here is that Light in this is very different from Light in the anime. So different.
And like, not just because of he's a different race.
Yeah, it's because like, one of the things I was saying is like, okay, if you make this like the creepy, like, you know, creepy kid at school who's like, oh, he's gonna do some horrible stuff. It's like, okay, that's like the kind of thing that I'm picturing when you make a Death Note American version. They made this kind of more like, yeah, maybe he's a hero. Like, they kind of play with that a little bit more. Like, I'm not saying I believe that in this, but I'm like, in the original, dude, he is psychotic.
Yeah.
Like, if you, like, I know people who walked away from there, it's like, oh, Light, he's just misunderstood and trying to do what he wants. Go fuck yourself. Light is a monster in the original. In this one...
He makes more sense, like... Right, I mean, like, his motivations make more sense.
He doesn't go as far as
right.
The original is a sociopath. In this one, they almost play him up like, well, he really does just want to be a hero of justice. And he got carried away with it. And I was like, not saying like I'm on his side again. I'm just saying, it feels like that's the tone they want to give it, and I feel like that's, as I said, that feels like the moment in which they went, we don't have the stones to actually make this about a killer. It's like, that feels like the moment in which they kind of backed out. It's like, well, we kind of have to make him someone the audience can root for.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you're supposed to be rooting for... You're supposed to be rooting for him to come to justice.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say you're supposed to be rooting for Elle, but you're supposed to be rooting for anyone on the side that opposes Kira in the original.
Yeah.
In this one, it almost feels like you're supposed to be like, oh no, is Light actually going to get caught? And the other one's like, is this the moment it actually happens? Whereas, yeah, so it has
and it's like the thing is, they did have like an evil protagonist who wanted to like take over, but it was not Light.
Which, here's the thing, that, like I said, there's gonna be a lot of stuff in here that people are going to point at and criticize because it's not like the original, and there's gonna be many times in which they are justified to do that because, as I was just talking about, like the tone of this thing, where they try and cast him in a different light, no pun intended. Yeah, that's something that's not like the original, and it's a problem with this film. But there are other things that they changed in this film I was actually damn impressed with, and one of them is the girl who he's in a relationship with is Mia, which is supposed to be Misa. However, in the original, Misa is like this pop star who she's a big ditzy airhead, and he doesn't give a shit about her. She is a pawn in his game, and he just keeps looking at her like, she's an idiot, and she's going to ruin my plans. However, I can't take her out because she's got her own death note, and if I try and take her out, she's going to take me out. Her Shinigami is going to take me out, so I can't do that, so it's this big crazy thing. But in this one, Mia is a cheerleader, and like, she's kind of like
goth cheerleader, like
no, she's the real world version of Veronica. If Veronica from Archie was just like, I don't give a shit about all of you, it's like, yeah, okay, that's
like in the opening sequence, like she was during cheerleading practice, everyone was like doing their stuff, and she was just standing there
like,
smoking a cigarette.
Her in the air.
Yeah, and it's like, she was also the only one with like dark hair. Everyone was a blonde.
She's the captain of the cheerleading team and the captain of the try-hard squad. Yeah, but in this one, she's just like, yeah, shame about that kid who died here. Also, it's weird that all these murders are happening. It's like, do you want to know how it's happening? Like, he just instantly kind of went, was like, you know how it's happening? He's like, no, I didn't. Okay, then that's cool. You want to know how it's happening? And like, he is the one in love with her in this one.
Yeah.
And honestly, I know a lot of people are going to criticize this. It's like, no, Light's supposed to be like cold and heartless, and like he's just using her as a pawn. Again, the American kind of real-world adaptation of this, if the loner teenager guy suddenly had the captain of the cheerleading squad talk to him, he'd be falling over his feet to try and like impress her. So, in all honesty, I'm like, honestly, I asked for kind of the cold real-world version of this. That's kind of the cold real-world version of this. Light would be a bumbling idiot when the cheerleader starts talking to him. So I was like, okay, kind of get that. But then when she finds out what he's doing, she's like, this is awesome. We can change the world. Like, she's the one who's kind of like telling him, become a god, do all this stuff, do all these things. Like, he's the one who comes up with the idea of being a god, but she's the one who's like, yeah, it's good. Like, she's whispering in his ear more than Ryuk is in this film. Like, she's got to lean him towards that. And then there gets to be a point in which, like, his dad gets up on television and challenges Kira, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And she instantly goes for the book and tries to write his name down. He has to stop her. I was like, oh. Like, I had not really been digging her. I was like, man, it doesn't really match the original. I mean, I'm okay with him being the bumbling idiot over her, but it's like, it doesn't match the original. But when she did that, I went, oh, I see what you're doing with her. Oh, is this gonna be what I think it is? And then there comes a point later on in the thing in which is like, Kira's like, all right, we gotta stop. All right, this has gotten too crazy. And he's going to try. Before I go any further, one thing that I actually do really enjoy also about this book is that in the original, there were like 40 rules, I think. It was around that. It was the number of episodes they had. In this one, there's hundreds of rules, meaning they actually made new rules for this one. And one of the new rules is that if you burn someone's page before they die, it cancels out that death. However, you can only do it once. You only get to take back one death, and he actually tries to get Watari, the butler for Elle, to find out Elle's real name, which is the thing. Watari actually goes back to the orphanage where and everything in that sequence is amazing. Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of stuff I'm gonna criticize. That whole sequence made me go, oh, this was the guy who directed that new latest Blair Witch film, and even though I had problems with that film, everything in the big crazy house at the end of that film was amazing. They go into a big crazy house in this film and it's fucking amazing. Everything in that sequence this is a damn well shot film. I gotta go ahead and say that. It's got some shots that's like, that's pretty crummy, it's clearly on a set. But there's other shots in here that's like, this is a total horror prose. Everything with Ryuk in here is fucking amazing.
That's kind of like my
nailed Ryuk.
Yeah, Ryuk was like great. And one of the funny things is like when Light first read the book, it's like, this belongs to Ryuk.
Yeah, I love that he didn't know how to pronounce it. Like, I actually like that.
That's like, I thought it was gonna go into like Last Airbender mode. It's like, oh man, they're gonna mispronounce all the guys' names wrong, and it's gonna piss me off and bother me. And then Ryuk just pops up. It's like, hey, you mispronounced my name. It's Ryuk.
It's actually pronounced Ryuk. Which, by the way, Willem Dafoe, fucking amazing as Ryuk in here. Ryuk needs to be the star of this film. He's the fucking star of this film. God damn, Ryuk is so good. And like, a lot of him is practical effects. A lot of it is a guy in a suit, but he's in the shadows the whole time. They shoot him perfectly so it doesn't look like a guy in a suit. It looks like an actual like death guy in there. And whenever it has to be CGI, it's not great CGI, but they still keep him enough in the shadows and they show just a little enough of him that's like, got it, you nailed it. Like, Ryuk is fantastic in this film.
I wish there was more of him in this film.
God, they clearly didn't have the budget to do more than, and that's what sucks. Because, God, he's the best thing in this film. But yeah, like, there comes a moment in which he's got Watari going there to try and figure out L's name, and like, he's ticking down the clock. You can only control somebody for up to 48 hours before their death, and he's like, there's clearly like, he's about to die. Like, the timer's ticking down, he's like, fuck it, he's not gonna find the name in time. Alright, and he flips to the page to get his name out, and the page is gone. And then he goes and he confronts Mia about it. He's like, you didn't have the guts to do what needed to be done. I'm not gonna let you ruin this. We got a good thing going here. And I was like, oh my God, are you going to have her become Kira? And then she reveals, I wrote your name in the book. If you don't return the book to me by midnight and give me the book and let me become the new owner, I won't burn that page. Which, here's the problem. She left the page in the book, and when he goes and grabs the book, he turns to the page, and he sees his name written in there, and it says his heart stops beating at midnight. He looks at that, and he just goes, and then he's like, no, and then he starts writing. I was like, burn the page yourself, you idiot.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe he doesn't have a lighter, because, like, you know, Mia is a smoker,
that'd actually be good. But he's running all over this town. We have gone into bodegas and just gone, do you have a set of matches I can get? He's like, yeah, it's for free, take it. Like,
also,
bodegas give out matches for free. Does he not know this?
Also, apparently he had enough time to, like, write this elaborate, like,
plan?
Yeah, so it's like, why didn't he just, like, add something on?
You could get a pair of stones and start a fire yourself in the time it takes him to write down that elaborate plan there at the end. So I was but again, it could have been explained in like one line. Like he could have started like trying to pull out liar and lie, and then Ryuk just pops up behind him, only the person who wrote the name can burn it. And it's like, bam, problem solved. But they didn't do that.
No.
And that's what stinks about.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's something I really dug about this film, is that you needed to make this different so the people who enjoy the original aren't just going to watch the original again. Do some kind of a twist. And having Mia be the actual mastermind behind this and have her be pulling light strings and have her be like, I'm going to become the new Kira. That's actually a good twist. I actually dug that. Didn't quite pan out in the end, though.
Yeah, it's like
the end of this is goofy as fuck.
Yeah, and there were still like a lot of loopholes, even though
there's tons of and a big part of one of the reasons why there are so many loopholes in this thing is because this thing moves fast.
Yeah.
This is an hour and 40 minutes, and here's the thing. That's about how long the original Death Note live action film was, but the original live action Death Note film tried to capture like the first 5 episodes. This one tries to do the entire season 1.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, you are moving rapid fire through this thing. And a lot of the reason why Death Note worked is because you were willing to just sit there and just listen to someone think. See someone plot out something. Like, you were willing to have, like, mental chess games between 2 guys who weren't even in the same room together.
Right.
And this one, we ain't got time for that, man. We gotta move. Like,
yeah, like, that's kind of like one of my biggest issue with this is, like, this one feels like there's more action, whereas, like, the original, it was, like, about suspense. It was, like, it's like watching these two trying to outsmart each other. It was a game of cat and mouse, and that's what made it so intriguing in the first place.
It was, and it's missing that.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem, because here's the thing. Light, he's not good in this, but looking at him as, like, an average Joe teenager rather than the disturbed teenager who wants revenge on the world. Looking at him as like the average teenager who gets messed up and something big is like, well, I guess he's doing that.
Yeah.
Mia, completely different, but I actually kind of dug the twist they do with her. The dad, I actually like the changes to him. That he's a little bit more gruff.
Yeah.
He is a little bit more like, that's just how the world is, son.
Yeah.
Screw it. Like, that's an interesting change. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. Elle is the one big, like, I can't get behind this, man. And the sad thing is, Elle's the one they try and stay true to the original with. And the thing is, yeah, it works in the original because it's like a fantasy film over there. Like, it's a big, weird, crazy sci-fi, this can't really happen thing over there. So having a celebrity, mystery, detective guy who's known around the world, okay, I can buy it here. But when this is trying to go for the great real world thing, and then he pops up and he's exactly the same that he is in the original, it feels so off. And the thing is, he's not quite the same as the original, because the original, he was very like...
Yeah.
Like, he was, again, the original TV show and anime and manga, not afraid to just sit there and chill and wait. And that's what Elle was. Elle was always just, yes, hello there. I'm going to go and grab this, eat it, now I'm solving something. In this one, like, well, I'm going to take care of this, and I'm going to do over here in this thing, and oh yes, well, I have to go over to this thing now, and then I'm going to grab an entire handful of... He eats like a slob, whereas Elle in the original eats like a bird.
Very daintily.
Yeah, he eats like a bird, like, take this, and this, and like that spoke to how precise he was. In this, he's like a slob, and I'm like, I could see that working if you wanted him to be like a hacker. Like some guy down in his basement, surrounded by garbage, but it's his weird, unique system that only he understands. Like everybody else would be like, this is piles of crap. And he's like, nope, I get it. This is where this goes and this is where this goes. Like something very like, we've all seen those guys out there. It's like, how do you work in this system? It's like, I make it work. It's like, and those people are kind of slobbish. It's like, that's how I could see the real world American version of Kira if he was like, not Kira, of Elle, if he was some kind of like, some vigilante hacker. It's like one of those guys who like posts like information online that's like, okay, well this was like top secret documents, but it's like somebody needs the truth about this thing. Like that's something that you hear about every now and again. So it's like, okay, I could see if you wanted to go with more like that, like Elle, who's Elle, rather than, oh, I've heard of this guy, he saw 400 cases around the world. Like, no, if he was like some guy's like, I've never heard of this guy before. Oh yeah, well did you hear about this thing? That was me. Did you hear about this thing? That was me. Now I'm gonna take on the biggest case ever. And it's like something kind of like that, but it's like, no, he is flat out the exact same character in the original, and he feels so out of place in this. And
I feel like he's more of an exaggeration of his character.
Even more so, you're right.
And because, like, there was that scene in the cafe where, like, Light was just chilling out, and then Elle just, like, jumps up on the table and is like, hi, I know you're Kira, and it's
that's
just,
one of the worst, like, if you are a fan of the original, like I said, a lot of the things that they change in here, I'm pointing to is like, actually, I can kind of get behind that. But that's something that they tried to capture from the original, like the conversations between him and when he actually confronts them and all that stuff. That's something that they tried to take from that. It's horrible. Yeah. Like, if you are a fan of the original, you are going to look at that one scene in particular and be like, this is what is wrong with this. Like, that is the moment which they tried to have the dialogue exchange between them. They failed completely on that.
And it's like, and they were so loud, and like I said, in a cafe, there were like other people around.
People look at them and it's like, what the fuck are you doing over there?
It's like, you're raising suspicion, and that's the thing, like, you have to be inconspicuous about this shit.
He gets flat out in public and goes, I know you're Kira, like, right there, like, god damn it.
Like, another thing that kind of bothered me was, like, the turtleneck, wearing it in public. It's like, that just makes you even more suspicious.
Yeah,
like he covers his entire mouth.
Yeah, doing it at the press conference makes total sense.
Yes.
Doing it with, like, police figures makes total sense, because it wants to be secret. But, like, having him actually walk around, like, if you had done a thing where, like I said, it should have been like a hacker where you never see his face. Never see his face.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's one day where Light is just talking to some guy, and, like, he's, like, maybe have somebody, like, start becoming a friend of his, and then he goes, I'm Elle. And he just whispers that in his ear and then walks away, and then he's like, why did he tell me that? Wait, hold on. For real? Does he know that I'm this? Does he know? Like, I keep thinking about all those moments, like, when Light and Elle were kind of originally interacting in the anime.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, yeah, man, they didn't even, like, well, no, Elle, like, flat out came out to the first time.
Yeah, but it's like...
But it wasn't clear, like, that he knew he was Kira.
Yeah, he's like, I have my suspicions that you're Kira.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, exactly. It was like, yeah, I have my suspicions, but, you know, it's a very slim thing, so I just figured I'd come by and see. But anyway, we're going to be buddies. And he's like, okay, I guess I'll talk to you. And then they would have cat and mouse. And like, even though that Light would know L kind of knew, and L would know that Kira kind of knew, it would still be like, yeah, but we can't prove it, so we're just going to kind of bond.
Yeah.
So every time that, like, another hint would pop up that maybe they now knew for sure, that maybe it was checkmate. Oh, man. Okay, cool. Okay, then. That would be like, all right, that's a next stage in this. There's none of that. They go wham, bam, right into that. And it's like, man, this is missing the subtlety and the suspense of the original.
Yes.
It's going way over the top. And there is, like, one change that they make to Light where you actually, where after Wadri dies, like, when Wadri, like, disappears, I actually did enjoy seeing L kind of freak out.
Yeah.
Because you never saw that. You never saw him panic. But that's something that happened in this that you never really saw in the original, because in this one, yeah, Wadri just disappears for like 2 days and he realizes Kira has Wadri. And it was in that moment when he like started freaking out about that. I was like, this is all this guy has.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so he has every right to freak out.
So like, okay, you know what? This is the change you made to this character is the one thing I can really point to and be like, all right, that's pretty good. Like seeing him actually freak out here is like, that's actually a decent change that you made to this thing because you put him in a situation they really never had to like confront in the original. So yeah, this is one of those things where like, everything that they try to do to capture the original fails. But a lot of the stuff that they try to do different is actually pretty decent.
If they just took it a step further, like you said, if they had the stones for it.
If they had the stones, but also if they just realized what this was supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be a big, like, the fact that this thing ends in a chase sequence, which I'll be honest with you, it's a pretty good chase sequence, but it shouldn't be in this.
No, it's like the essence, basically.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like they wanted to do something different, but in turn they lost the essence of what made Death Note so intriguing.
Exactly. And also it's like, yeah, man, the character of Light in here, I get what they were going for. It's not what they should have gone for. Like, there are many things in here that are different from the original that I'm applauding, but there are some things that I'm pointing to, like, no, you should, like, Light, I get it, so I can't criticize it that much. But it's not what you should have done with him.
Yeah, it's like...
Again, though, I do have to make sure, point this out, I just said the stuff that they tried to do to be like the original was not good. Except Ryuk. I have to keep bringing this up.
Yes.
Holy shit, he is so good in this.
Best part. Just watch it for Ryuk, really, that's it.
Even if you are a die-hard Death Note fan, which that's another weird thing about this. They go through so many things in the original, like L is just there.
Yeah.
He just kind of pops up. And like the whole Shinigami's loving apples thing, they never explain that. Rick's just eating apples all the time.
Yeah.
So there's so many things in here, and also, like, Ryuk just pops up there. Like, Ryuk is introduced like 5 minutes into this thing. It's like, again, they were not willing to just wait on shit. They wanted to get shit done. And they go through it so quickly in the beginning, it's almost like the people making this film was like, people who are going to watch this already know what Death Note is, so they don't need us to sit down and explain everything to them. And it's like, well, okay, but then you're changing stuff that's going to piss off the Death Note fans. So are you making this only for Death Note fans or for people who aren't Death Note fans?
Yeah,
so that's another problem that this has. However, even if you are a diehard Death Note fan who will be totally pissed at everything that they change in this, you have to still watch this just for Ryuk, because god damn is he good in this. He is so, like I said, it's very clear that the guy making this knows how to shoot horror. So when this actually tries to be horror, it's good. Like when he goes into the big orphanage, I have to keep coming back to that. That whole sequence was fucking good. It was so damn good in that. Just a lot of the shit leading up to it was not good.
Yeah, it's like, the whole thing about Death Note is like both L and Light are like very incredibly smart and very intelligent, so that's why they're trying to like outsmart one another.
Also, you never get the sense that Light is smart.
No, Light feels really stupid. I mean,
you get the sense he's book smart, but that he's like a dope.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there was that scene like where he's in the gym and he's like literally reading the Death Note, and it's like you could not hide that in like a history book or something, and it's like, wow, that is so blatantly obvious, and he just...
It's, man.
And, like, L doesn't seem that smart either, because, like we said, he just blurts out, "You're Kira," and it's like...
Yeah, like, you never really, like, they're not even close to how smart they were in there.
No.
Which, again, part of that is because they had to race through this thing.
I guess, yeah.
But also, even then, even for being raced through, But like the fact that they have to race through this takes away a lot of the suspense.
Yeah, it's like
And
I
the
kind of
suspense is
felt
what
like
made this like this is not like I just keep thinking about how in the original anime, like you would spend 20 minutes just on two characters not even being in the same room together. It's like, I will do this thing, but wait, if I do this thing, then maybe he'll do this thing. And then on the other end, if he does that thing, I'll definitely do this thing. But if he does that, if he realizes I'm going to do this, then that means he'll do this thing. This does not have the time to do that.
Like,
they gotta race through.
I kind of felt like they dumped this down for American audiences.
I really hate saying that.
Yeah, I really hate saying that too. It's like when the Harry Potter changed their name from Philosopher's Stone to the Sorcerer's Stone.
That's not even as bad as
I know, but still, it's like, it's an example of what we mean by dumbing down for Americans, and I really hate that.
Yeah, and man, because it's not willing to just be a smart thriller, but also at the same time, it's because in order to capture like this big cat and mouse game, you would need like 3 hours. And they only got an hour and a half, which is why I think what they did in the Japanese version was smart, where it's like, Elle isn't even in the first movie. Because in the first movie, it's that lady whose husband died and now she's the, like, investigating Kira on her own. It's like, she was the villain in that one. The villain, I should say. Because Light is the villain. Casual reminder, Light's horrible.
Yeah, and in this one, it's like, you don't even see, like, N or Raita or, like, the other characters.
Which, in all fairness, you can leave N completely out. They're fine.
Mello, that's the other guy.
Yeah, Mello.
Yeah. But because, like you said, it just feels like the first, like, half.
That's the other thing. It feels like the first half, and it should have been the first quarter. Man. I do kind of dig, like, where it ends, where it's like, because at the end of this thing, Light has figured out everything and how Kira did. He finds the
You mean Elle?
Elle, yeah. Elle has figured out how Light did everything. He finds the one page that his girlfriend stole. He's found that. He's realizing as he's reading it what happens. And then he's looking at a picture of Light, and he just starts laughing there as he's holding the pen, and then it cuts to just Ryuk going, "You humans are so interesting." And I was like, so did he write his name or not?
And then
that's actually kind of a good place to end this, I
guess so, but it's like, I don't like the idea of Elle using the Death Note because it's like he's sinking to Light's level.
Again, it's one of those things where this is the debate it's really going to come down to. Are you okay with this not respecting the original? Because that would be a total disrespect of Elle's character. In the original.
Yes.
In this one, we see after Watari is stolen away from him, we see him kind of start to lose it.
He hijacks a police car and crashes into a bus stop.
Yeah, it's like, and he's screaming. That was stupid, by the way. That was fucking, everything of him trying to like, that was dumb as shit. However, if you look at this almost like the supervillain origin story of Elle, it's kind of interesting. Because if you look at this as a complete reimagining of like, well, what if Elle went crazy? And it's like, okay, tell me more. And it's like, I know a lot of people out there are going to be like, well, that's a total disrespect. It's like, dude, I'm a comic book fan. I have seen versions of Superman where he was raised in Soviet Russia and took over the world as a czar. It's like, I'm used to different interpretations of characters. As long as you do it well. And what ticks me off about this film is half of it's done well. And when it's done well, it's really damn good. But when it's bad, it's fucking terrible. And it's made worse by the fact that you can directly compare it to the original, doing it so much better. So, man, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. It's giving me the shakes.
Another thing that frustrated me was like when Light wrote Watari's name in it. It's like
that was
Yeah, it's like
so you just need a first name?
Yeah, I mean,
or last name?
And another thing is he like told Ryuk, because like if you don't like listen to me and stop misbehaving, I'm gonna write your name in the Death Note. And he's like, people only have gotten like 2 letters right, and I'm like, so you can kill a death god? Can't you only need their first name? Like
that's actually death gods only have one name, so that's why. But in all honesty, that's something that we haven't brought up yet. That was another change they made to this that I actually really enjoyed. Because when he finds this thing, the Death Note itself looks great. It's a great prop. And it's got like scratches on the front of it. So clearly somebody was like trying to grab it or something at some point. Like after you hear him go, if you're not more careful, I'm going to write your name. He's going, people have tried, but there's 4 letters in my name and no one's gotten past 2. I was like, again, Willem Dafoe is fucking amazing in this. But like when you hear that and now I look at the scratches on there, I'm like, I can see somebody reaching and trying to grab this thing while Ryuk's just like pulling him away. It's like, or also it's like, yeah, he's got his own Death Note and like, done, you're dead. It's like, okay, that makes him really freaking intimidating, but also it's like, that's another thing, like with the extra rules they add in here, I dig they kind of give a little bit of a backstory to like, this ain't the first time that Ryuk has done this. Ryuk has messed with other people, and there's actually a note inside the book that says, don't trust Ryuk, and like, it is like scratched in there, like just desperately, and again, it makes you think back to those claw marks on the front, it's like, this is a guy who like was trying to stop Ryuk, and he's like realized Ryuk is the big villain of this. Like in the original, Ryuk is just kind of a jester. He's like, I'm above all you humans. I'm just gonna watch the world burn.
Like,
this one, Ryuk's
like seriously, he's like, I'm bored. Why don't you people kill each other? I just want to watch and see what happens. Like that's literally that's all he does.
Entertain me for a little bit.
Like that's why he says you humans are so interesting.
Yeah.
And why I kind of tick that he didn't say it until like the very end of the movie.
Yeah. But in this one, he's more of kind of like a Joker figure where it's like, I just want to watch the world burn, and I know if I give you primitive apes the candle, you'll do it. And I'm like, I'm kind of okay with this because of how they do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, that note of don't trust Ryuk in there, that's creepy as shit. And it makes you look at Ryuk throughout the rest of it as like, you're the villain. You have lit the fuse, and now you're just sitting back like, ah.
Yeah, I'm not saying that this version of Ryuk is bad. I'm saying he's different. I mean, I still love Ryuk in this. He's great. He's like literally the best thing about this.
Yeah, he's so... God damn it. This is what makes me mad at this movie. I want to point at it and be like, this is not good, that's not good, that's not good. But then there'll be stuff in here that's so damn good. Like, the best way that I can sum it up is the scene between Kira and Light, and Kira and L, where they're at the coffee table. We have mentioned how bad that is, and how dumb it is, and how it doesn't capture anything. But then as Light gets all fussy, he's like, what are you doing? And he stands up and then he looks right behind L. There is, God, I'm forgetting everybody's name. There's Ryuk just standing there behind him. I'm like, that is the best damn shot in this whole film. Because it is such a good shot of just like this creepy silhouette standing behind him in the rain. I was like,
with eyes glowing and everything.
I'm like, God damn, I can't be mad at this film because this fucking Shinigami keeps saving it. Because every time, because like I said, there's so many little things in here that some people are not going to dig because they're changes to the original. But with me, I was like, you gotta change the original because, again, brand new setting is going to have different connotations. It's going to have a different, mentality going behind it. But also, so many people will look at and compare it to the original.
Right.
You're not going to do the original better. You gotta change some stuff. And many of the changes I'm actually okay with. Like Mia actually being like, oh, you think you're the twisted nut job here? I'm a fucking cheerleader. I'm more sinister than you can fucking imagine. It's like, okay, I'm okay. Like, the fact that she's betraying him rather than just being like, oh, life, you're so wonderful. Like, I'm actually okay with this change. That's actually good. His dad being more like gruff, like, oh, the world just sucks, kid. I was like, that actually, I can see that leading into Light being more like, well, I'm gonna take shit into my own hands.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like his dad, like, I know who killed your mom, but there's nothing I can do, and that's just the way the world is. Like, I can see that leading to Light being like, I'm gonna be vigilante. All right, cool. So there are changes in here that people are gonna be mad at because it's not the same as the original, but I'm actually kind of okay with. But then there are other changes in here.
Yeah.
Like Light, as I said, I understand it, so I can't complain that much, but it's not nearly as good. And also the change in tone, big misstep.
Yeah.
They're trying to make it quicker, more action things. Whereas, honestly, Netflix does so many television series that are great, but most of their movies aren't that great. When you think about the fact that, what is it, Death Note is, I forgot the name of the thing, that Death Note is supposed to be a longer format thing, more of a detective thing, more of a cat and mouse thing.
Yeah.
This really should have been a TV show.
Yeah, I feel like this, yeah, exactly.
This was a total missed opportunity on their part. But God, if you had still been able to get Ryuk in there, if you'd still been able to get the same director, because honestly, I think a lot of the problems in here are the script. I think the director, at least capturing the spooky, creepy side of it, I think he fucking nails it. Capturing, hey phone, who's sending me stuff? I don't need an upgrade on my phone. Yeah, there are moments in which I'm like, God damn it, he's nailing it. Then there are other moments like with the cat and mouse stuff that he's not. If you had gotten him in here as like DP as like cinematographer, just to frame shots, he would have been amazing in here. And then got another person in here who actually knows how to do the cat and mouse stuff. I'm like, God, this is so like, it makes me so mad because it's not bad, but it's not good, but it shows me the potential. It could have been great. Mm-hmm. But because it's not horrible, I can't point and go, fuck everything about this. So it's one of those weird things in the middle, man.
Yeah, it's like, I felt like in the middle, but I kind of felt like more on the shitty side. So, so it's not like meh, and it's not like fuck you. It's just like, shit.
Yeah, it's like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I can tell, like I said, this is the debate it's going to come down to. Are you more okay with the changes? I think I was more okay with some of the changes, and you were more on the spot. Like, yeah, no, don't do that. So yeah, I think this is honestly the two sides of this.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get anybody out there who's like, everything in this is terrible, unless they are just that diehard of a fan to the original that they can't, like, look at this.
Yeah, but I also don't think everyone's going to be like, this is absolutely perfect.
There's no one out there who's going to. There will be people saying this is absolute shit. There's nobody out there who's going to say this is absolute perfect. Mm-hmm. However, I think a lot of people are going to say it's absolute shit is just because they're, like, comparing it that closely to the original. And you gotta look at this more as its own thing to be able to like appreciate some of the good stuff in here. But again, even if you are that dedicated to the original that you're like, it's just terrible that they changed anything in here, you're still gonna walk away and be like, Ryuk was fucking awesome. God damn it, Ryuk was good in this. And so yeah, it's one of those like, I think 80% of the people viewing this are going to come down on either of our sides. I'm like, it's okay, but it's not, my view on this is it's really good and really bad sandwiched together. Yours is really good stuff sprinkled on top of some really bad stuff. Yeah. Like, I think that's where most people are gonna lie. Like, I'm giving it a 6, you're giving it a 4, I'd say. It's probably what it is. Yeah, it's like, I think that's the range this is gonna get. And the frustrating thing about it is that I see a lot of films I'd give a 6 to, and I'm like, it's fine, whatever. This one is frustrating that it's fine. Because you want it to be good. Because it's fucking Death Note. And there's such potential to do stuff here. And when it is good, it's so damn good. And when it's bad, it's so damn bad. So, I did not think I was going to get that passionate about this. This is one of those few times in which we've actually been able to do a post-geek out reaction right after we saw it. Like, we finished watching this 2 minutes before we watched this. I wish we could do this. Like, I love when the Cinema Snob does these things in the car. Yeah. Because it's like, yeah, he just got out there and he goes into his car and he reviews it. We gotta take the hour-long subway ride home. Mm-hmm. Then sometimes it's too late to do it at night because we'll upset our neighbors. Then we gotta wait in the morning. Then by the morning it's just like, I forgot all the stuff I was mad about.
Well, sometimes I feel like it's better that way because we get to sit and like think about it.
That's also
like,
true.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's got both good and bad sides, just like this movie, so...
That's the best part, man. I gotta be going, and that's the best line to go out on. Yep. So, yeah, it's like, alright, it's... Watch it for Ryuk. Give Ryuk his own show, goddammit.
Yes, please.
God damn, Willem Dafoe is gonna... It's like... It's so sad. I kind of want to watch this again just for Ryuk.
Just like fast forward all the parts to Ryuk, and
someone
that's it.
Just make the Ryuk fan cut. Just make the Ryuk super cut of this. But all right, if you guys saw this, let us know in the comments down below what you thought of it. Also, I don't ever talk about anime on here.
No.
But as you can tell, we're both anime fans. I have a show about comics, I have a show about movies, and then when I get free time enough, I do a show on video games. But it's mostly a comics and movies show that I do on this channel. But I do try and talk about all things geeky, and anime is very geeky. Would you guys want us to just talk about the Death Note anime? Because I was talking about this with some guys at my store when we were talking about this movie coming out, and we just started like geeking out about so many different parts of it. I was like, this would be really fun to just talk about the anime. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments down below as well, or on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. And make sure you come back for the actual review of this. So thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.